friends. Are you suffering through an existential life crisis? I know I am. But with just a little magic and a little baking, we're gonna take those lemons and turn them into lemon cake. Boop! We're gonna start with an art project. You will need 3 9-inch pans if you want to make 3 layers, or you can cook them a little bit longer and just use 2 layers. I'm going to do 3, and I'm going to trace the bottom of my cake pan because I'm going to line that pan with parchment paper so that I don't have a cake disaster in which I can't get my cake out of the pan. So I have roughly trace the bottom of the pan, and I'm just going to cut it out with scissors, and then we're going to spray the pan before I put the parchment in it and after. Now, parchment paper and wax paper look very similar, but the difference is if you use wax paper, you'll set your house on fire. Alright, I have lined and generously greased all 3 pans, and now in a large bowl, we're going to take 3 cups of flour. That flour was sifted and then measured. I'm going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. It's actually a little bit less because I couldn't find unsalted butter, so I have salted butter. 2 1/2 teaspoons of baking powder. And I'm gonna whisk that together. In my stand mixer, I have 2 sticks of softened butter that have come to room temperature. You're gonna want to let your butter and your eggs and your buttermilk all sit out at room temperature before you start baking, if possible. This is a 1.75 cups of granulated white sugar. I'm going to set this mixer on medium speed. You could also use a hand mixer if you have one. And I'm gonna let it go for about 3 minutes. I'm going to add in 4 eggs, 4 large eggs, and 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. And I'm using a combination of vanilla bean and vanilla extract, if you're wondering what the specs are. All right, blend another 2 minutes on high. All right, grab your dry ingredients, and with our mixer on low, we're gonna slowly mix that into our wet mixture. Just pour in a little at a time. Your batter is gonna look a lot thicker now, and when that's incorporated, we're gonna pour in our buttermilk. 1 cup of room temperature buttermilk. I'm leaving this on low, so it's still mixing. A heaping tablespoon of lemon peel or lemon zest. Make sure you don't get the white part, that part's bitter. The pith. It would really be the pith if you did. And 1/3 cup of fresh lemon juice. Continue to mix on low until everything is incorporated and your batter is smooth. All right, our batter is done, and we're gonna pour it evenly. We're gonna try for even into our 3 different cake pans. So I'm just gonna keep doing 1 big scoop in each until I run out of mix. Very technical. I'm just gonna smooth my cake batter out so it covers the whole bottom of the pan. And then I'm gonna give the cake pan a quick drop. And that's just to get some air bubbles out. 1 more. I don't know if it really works or if it's like pointless, but I enjoy it. Bake all 3 cakes at the same time for 21 to 26 minutes. So we're gonna see if they're done by testing with a toothpick. And that is coming out clean all 3 times. We're gonna let these puppies cool in the pan for a couple of hours before we frost because we wanna make sure they're completely cool. Let's make frosting. I'm gonna beat 2 sticks of softened butter. They've come to room temperature. on high speed for 2 minutes, just butter. So we're just trying to get it really fluffy and incorporate lots of air. With butter, we're gonna add more fat. A whole brick of softened cream cheese. We're gonna put it back on high and mix until it's all incorporated and smooth. This next part really sucks, but there's no other way to do it. We're gonna add our powdered sugar into our bowl just a little bit at a time, and we're gonna try not to create an enormous dust cloud of powdered sugar that coats the entire kitchen and makes it sticky. We'll start with maybe a quarter of it, a third of it maybe. And I'm gonna start on a low speed and then slowly increase it. Before I add the rest of the sugar, I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons of fresh squeezed lemon juice and a teaspoon of vanilla. Here comes the rest of the sugar. Woo! All right, there's sugar everywhere. Increase the speed. Medium high. Final touch. A pinch of salt. 2 pinches because I like salt. And that's it. Here's the really scary part. We're gonna take our cakes out. So I'm gonna run a knife around the edge of my pan. Even though I greased it, even though I put parchment paper on it, I just want that extra insurance. I'm gonna put my hand on top so it doesn't flop on the counter. Hey, look at that. I'm gonna peel my parchment off. Layer 1. Layer 2. Layer 3, we're really doing it. We're real adults. I'm gonna use a turntable to build my cake. You can use a regular plate or whatever you like, a cake stand works. Slap a dollop of icing on the middle. This is gonna help our first layer stick. So I'm gonna take this first layer. Oh no, I'm gonna try not to break it in half. And then I'm just gonna lay it on top of the frosting and press down ever so gently. Nice, like that. Okay. I want to work with about a cup of frosting at a time, so I have a cup for this first layer. I'm just gonna start by putting it on the middle, and then we're gonna spread it out over the center and over the edge of the cake before we add our second layer. And the turntable makes it nice because you can spin it as you need to frost the edges. Okay, I have frosted that first layer. We are gonna put our second layer on top ever so carefully. Now, if you were really persnickety, you could cut your layers so that they're completely flat. I'm just gonna leave it like this. I've refilled my frosting for layer 2. Layer 3, we're gonna use the rest of the frosting, so I just brought that over, and now I am bringing over this last layer to set on top. How good does that look? All right, and we're gonna do the same thing we did for all the other layers. Start in the middle, work our way out and down. She's done. Let's dress her up, shall we? If I were gonna eat this immediately, I would line the outside with thin slices of lemon. But I'm not gonna eat it immediately. I'm gonna put it in the refrigerator, and I don't want it to get watery. So I'm just gonna use birthday sprinkles because they're the only sprinkles I have. And I'm gonna sprinkle them just on the outside edge of the cake, all the way around. she is. She's going in the fridge.